वही ऑल कैसे हो? मौसम तो अच्छा नहीं है वैसे, है ना? ना पढ़ने का मन कर रहा है ना पढ़ाने का मन कर रहा है। नहीं, मैंने कहा ऐसा हो सकता है कि तुम्हारा पढ़ने का मन ना कर रहा हो, मेरा पढ़ाने का मन ना कर रहा हो, बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली टुडे इज नॉट दैट डे। ठीक है ना? तो आज अपन पढ़ेंगे, कौन सा चैप्टर पढ़ेंगे? रिस्क असेसमेंट, इंटरनल कंट्रोल। पहले ये चैप्टर का थोड़ा सा इंट्रोडक्शन ले लो, so that you will get an idea कि in this chapter what basically we are going to learn. देखो, in this chapter you will find everything about the risk and internal control. First of all, if we'll clearly bifurcate this chapter into two parts, we are going to understand two major concepts in this chapter. One is called risk assessment. What do you mean by risk assessment? We'll cover 315. What is the standard we are going to cover? What is 315? सही है, ठीक है, ठीक है, risk assessment. So, and the second concept which we are going to cover is known as internal controls. What is the name? Internal controls में there are so many conceptual questions they have asked in the recent past. So that makes this whole chapter a very important chapter. और इसमें थोड़ा सा logical point also will be there, which I think I have already discussed with you while doing the materiality chapter. Materiality का ऐसे 320 करे थे, but still we are going to revise it again here. ठीक है? Here we are going to understand majorly about the risk first. So we'll complete the risk part first and then we'll jump to the internal control. Now it's been, I think, since the day we have started the classes, we have used this word called internal control system so many times. What is the first impression comes to your mind when we use this word? It's all about auditor or it's all about management? Management. Surveillance, a good staff, efficient, effective staff, qualified, competent people in the organization, right? Good physical verification of the stock or physical verification of the fixed asset at regular intervals, safeguarding of assets, compliance of laws. These all are the examples of which system? Internal. Basically, जब भी अपन internal control system word, when we use this word, the first thing comes to our mind is कि company is continuing its operations under the proper control or not. Am I correct or not? Proper authorizations, surveillance system is properly working or not, computers are properly secured or not. All those words comes to our mind when we talk about the word called what? Internal control. So internal control is a different part of this chapter. So this chapter contains the two major concepts. One is completely relating to the risk, and the second one is completely relating to the control system. Now, the first thing which you have to understand is about internal control system. Which system? Abhi suno. There is a very easy technique by which you can understand the internal control system. Let's compare it with the auditing profession first. देखो, every auditor, you know that कि every auditor makes a plan. Am I correct or not? Every auditor makes what? Plan. In his plan, what does he include? In his plan, he will include some audit procedures and some audit techniques. What he will include? Audit procedures and audit techniques. What do you mean by audit procedure? RAP and FAP. What do you mean by audit techniques? Inspection, observation, inquiry. So my plan includes my audit procedures and audit techniques, and these two I am doing it to achieve my audit objectives. What do I want to achieve? My audit. I want to achieve the audit objectives. Same thing management also does. Management also makes one plan. In their plan, there will be management procedures and management techniques. What will be there? To achieve whose objective? Management objective. समझ में आ रहा है? Like I take care of my internal control system, every company takes care of its own internal control system. Now, when the company takes care of its internal control system, as an auditor, do I enter throughout the year or at the end of the year? How will I come to know that whatever the internal control system they told me is actually in existence or not? For that reason, we do TOC. What is TOC? Testing of control. समझ में आ रहा है? So remember one thing, internal control system was never, is not and will never be my responsibility as an auditor. It is 100% completely whose responsibility? Management's responsibility. हम लोग सिर्फ वहां पे जाके उसे evaluate करते, उसे test करते. What are the two things we do? Evaluate and test. Now, most of the people does not know the difference between evaluation of control system and testing of control system because they both words look complementary to each other. But there's a lot of difference. In the evaluation, there are some techniques, and in the testing also there are some techniques. Both are separate concepts. So this is a journey which we have to understand in this concept called what? Internal control system. So internal control system topic has nothing to do with the auditor. It has everything to do with the management. तो हम लोग सब कुछ मैनेजमेंट के बारे में बात करेंगे. We are only and only going to talk about what? Management. कि what management does, what management installs, how do they install, how does it work, everything about whom? Management, not about the auditor. But if their control systems are weak, what will happen to my audit risk? It will increase. ROMM क्या होता है? Risk of material mistake. If their internal control system is not functional as expected, what will happen to my ROMM level? इसीलिए once we learn everything about the internal control system, then we'll talk about the risk assessment. Did you get the point? So first we'll learn everything about what? Internal controls. After that we'll talk about what? Risk assessment. 3, 1, 5. There I will tell you the relationship between internal control system and risk assessment. Clear? Now first let us understand the definition of what? Internal control system. Now look at the definition everyone. इस definition को अपन parts में divide करेंगे. We'll understand each and every word exhaustively. Look at the definition. What is written? The processes designed and what? Implemented and what? Maintained. Those processes which are designed by the management, implemented by the management, maintained by the management. और management को अपन another what we call TCW. What is TCWG? Those charged with and what? Management and what? Other personnel to provide what? Reasonable assurance about the achievement of an whose objective? Entity. अच्छा ये बात एक ध्यान से सुनो. What I'm trying to tell. Try to replace the word management with the auditor. You will see that same thing applies to us also. Now see, the processes which are designed, implemented, maintained by the auditor and my staff, auditor and my staff, to provide a which assurance about the word achievement of whose objective? Auditor's objective. So what we do in our audit, same way management do in its management. Are you getting the point? So internal control system is a complete concept of whom? Management. Doing the testing of that is a complete concept of whom? Auditor. तो अभी मेरे को definition बताओ internal control system की. These are those processes which are designed, implemented, maintained by the TCWG, by the management, by the other personnel of the organization to ensure reasonable assurance on whose objective? Entity's objective. With regard to what? Reliable financial reporting. Now, why a company hires the chartered accountants and competent MBAs and qualified people in their organization? See, doing the computer work is not necessarily to be done by a CA. Do they hire the chartered accountants, MBAs in finance, and do they pay the 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs of package to you just to make you as an employee of the organization or to use your efficiency and effectiveness? एक कंपनी कॉम्पिटेंट स्टाफ को क्यों अपॉइंट करती है? Why does a company employs a good staff? To prevent the frauds and errors. वहां पे वही तो कर रहे हैं, so that I can give you the financial reporting which is what in nature? Reliable in nature. With respect to reliability of which reporting? Financial reporting. Second thing, effectiveness and efficiency of what? Operation. क्योंकि if my operations will not be effectively run, if they will not be efficiently carried out, will I be a profit making or loss making? That's the reason also you should have a good internal control system. What is the third reason I should have? Safeguarding of asset. Do I want to protect my assets or not? Should I allow anybody to access anything or limited access? That's how you safeguard your what? assets. Next one, compliance with what? Applicable laws and regulations. क्योंकि I know that कि if I will not comply with the applicable laws and regulations as a management and company, what will happen? Punishments and penalties. Are you interested in paying more punishments and penalties or less? Or no? Not at all. For that you need to have a good internal control system. अब समझ में आया कि why company designs, implements and maintains a good internal control system to achieve its objectives. What are my 4 objectives? Tell me. Don't look at the board. Try to tell me 4 objectives. Reliable financial reporting. What is objective number 1? E and E of O. SOA, safeguarding of asset. And last but not the least, compliance with the laws and regulations. For these 4 objectives, I have to install a good internal control system in my organization, which is purely and purely whose responsibility? Management and TCD. हो गया definition? समझ में आया? देखो, when you read this definition on your own, you are unable to bifurcate the right places. But when you really have this talent of bifurcating the definitions into the right places, I can guarantee you not even any theory subject will not be a problem to you. Try to understand one thing. The moment you come across any theory subject, try to break up the definition into part. It will better go inside your head and then summarize it again. अब तुम मुझे बताओ स्टार्टिंग कैसे एक वर्ड तुम्हें आता होगा अभी देखना स्टार्टिंग बताओ मेरे को द प्रोसेसेस व्हिच आर डिजाइन्ड implemented, maintained by the TCWG, management and other personnel, means employees of the company, to ensure what? Reasonable assurance. देखो, no internal control system like an auditor can't give the absolute insurance. No internal control system also can give you what? Absolute assurance. It can only give you what? Reasonable assurance. Towards the achievement of whose objective? With regard to 4 of my objectives, what are my 4 objectives? Reliable financial reporting, efficiency and effectiveness of operations, safeguarding of assets, compliance and law. A company needs these 4 objectives to be fulfilled. For that, company has to install a good internal control system. वही तो लिखा हुआ definition में. अब बताओ, is there any single word in the whole definition you didn't understand, or everything went smoothly inside your head? So last time, without looking at the board, tell me, processes which are designed, implemented, maintained by the TCWG, management and other personnel to ensure the reasonable assurance on the objectives to be achieved or objectives of entity with regard to reliability of financial reporting, effectiveness and efficiency of operations, safeguarding of assets, compliance of laws and regulations. अब तुम ये सोच के देखो ये मेरी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है या मैनेजमेंट की. दैट्स व्हाई दिस होल कॉन्सेप्ट इज कंप्लीटली डेडिकेटेड टू होम मैनेजमेंट. इसे बोलते हैं इंटरनल कंट्रोल सिस्टम. डिड यू गेट द पॉइंट? बट वेदर इट इज डिजाइन्ड, implemented and maintained properly or not, who is going to check it? Audit. उसे हम लोग TOC बोलते हैं. What is TOC? Testing of control. They are claiming that it is designed, maintained and implemented best. But am I going to rely upon them or I am going to do my own test? I will do my own test. इसीलिए हम लोग TOC करते हैं FAP में. पहले क्या करते हैं? TOC, testing of controls. Now, what is the scope of internal control system? Internal control system consists of what? Control environment and what? Procedures. It extends beyond just the accounting and what? Finance. See, auditor is always concerned about the which information of the client? Financial. Am I bothered about the non-financial information of the client? Or my only focus is FS? What is FS? Financial statement. मेरे को बताना, what are the 5 financial statement which we focus upon? P&L, balance sheet, cash flow statement, notes to account, statement of changes in equity. My focus is on these 5 items only because I have a huge time or unlimited time. So मेरा focus will be only on financial information of the entity. But entity has to focus on both financial as well as what? Non-financial. Do they have to keep their employees motivated? ये बताओ, if you are running a company, do you have to keep your employees always motivated? So what you will do to bring their motivation to the highest level? You will pay them bonus, gratuity, PF, ESOPs. याद है ESOPs? Sweat equity shares. जब अपन ये चीजें employees को देते हैं, when we give these things to the employees will be demotivated or highly motivated. That's the reason in the ESOPs and sweat equity shares, you might have seen one concept of lock-in period. Why the company puts the lock-in period on those shares? So that this employee to whom I am giving the shares at a very discounted price, he should leave my company or should not. It is all called retaining allowances. Which allowances? Retaining allowances. समझ में आ रहा है? So this is a financial matter or non-financial? I am not bothered, but who is bothered? Internal control system of the management is bothered about that. Did you get the point? So this is what they are saying. कि internal control system, read the point number 2, internal control system extends beyond just what? It means company does not install the internal control system only for the good accounting and good finance. They also install the internal control system for the non-financial matters as well. Did you get the point? What is the third point, everyone? It seeks to ensure orderly conduct of what? Business in all functional areas. Why do they install the cameras in every organization nowadays? Now today keeping the CCTV camera is a general control system. Even ki pan shop owner is also having the CCTV camera. Inside is this much of dibba. Why? भाई उसका भी business है. उसमें भी frauds and errors. There might be some employees who might be taking some cigarettes, put it in the pocket and selling it outside without the knowledge of the employer. Are you getting the point or not? So everywhere surveillance is optional or must now. Here also it is must, so that they will see that whether we are taking classes properly or not, whether you are maintaining the discipline in the class or not. Everywhere have a different objective. That is what is being given. Internal control system is basically to ensure what? Which conduct, everyone? Orderly conduct of business. In which areas? All the functional areas. Next point. However, auditor is concerned mainly with what? Those internal controls having the direct bearing on which system? मैंने तुम्हें क्या बताया था? Auditor is concerned about financial or non-financial, whereas the company is concerned with both financial as well as non. Read the last point and let me know what the tell me the difference between second and fourth point. Read the second and fourth point. What is second point saying? Internal control system extends beyond what? It means it takes care of both the things, financial as well as non-financial. But what is the fourth point? However, auditor is concerned mainly with what? Those internal controls having a which bearing? But did I tell you that कि SAP में हमने क्या किया था 520 में? Sometimes you have to make a plausible relationship between the two types of data, financial as well as. So mainly, is the word mainly written or always written? Mainly. तो बोला 90% of the cases we are always concerned about what? Financial. But there are some areas where we might be concerned about what? Non-financial. So this is called scope of which system? Internal control system. So tell me, what are the parameters of internal control system? Is it only financials or financial as well as non-financial? What are the main parameters of an auditor? Only financial. Sometimes non-financial. What is the major idea behind putting the good internal control system in an organization? Disorderly conduct of business or orderly conduct of business? Simple. वही तो लिखा हुआ सामने. It is just that most of the students find this chapter boring. I don't know why. It is little bit dry. This topic is little bit dry. But if you think it from the management, देखो मैंने तुम्हें क्या बताया था? To catch the criminal, you have to think from the criminal's point. तो अगर अपने को client का internal control system को test करना है, first we have to understand their what? Internal control system. Then only you can later on test it. Without understanding how you will test it, because you don't know what is the internal control system for what purpose. Did you get the point? Now will you be able to tell me, put together the total definition including the scope? Tell me, what is the definition? It is designed, implemented and maintained by TCWG, management, other personnel to ensure the reasonable assurance on achievement of entity's objective with regard to four things: reliable financial reporting, efficiency and effectiveness of operations, safeguarding of assets, compliance of laws and regulations. It has the following scope. What is the scope number one? It includes control environment and procedures. It extends beyond what? Accounting and finance. It is just ensured to have what? Orderly conduct of business in all the functional areas. And last but not the least, auditor is only concerned with mainly what? Financial. तो यहाँ पे word mainly लिखा हुआ है, not always. So while doing the SAP, substantive analytical procedure, we do consider the which information also? Non-financial. Clear? Now, what are the inherent limitations of which control system? Internal. अब इसको ध्यान से सुनना. यहाँ पे हमने एक word पढ़ा. We have learnt one word over here. What is the word we learned? Which assurance, everyone? Why not they were able to write here absolute assurance? There is not even a single internal control system available in this world which can give you what? Absolute assurance. Sir, तुम्हें क्या लगता है Reliance में fraud नहीं होते? It happens. Even though Reliance is the biggest company in India, can it afford the world's best internal control system? But still some scams and scandals still happens in the organization called what? Reliance. Scams and scandals टाटा में भी होते हैं क्योंकि अब मैं तुम्हें इसका मेजर रीजन बताता हूं. Internal control system is made up of humans and human is a statue of what? Errors. Internal control system का मतलब क्या है? Basically tell me, other than these cameras, everything. अच्छा, these cameras also are operated by whom? Humans. Internal control system का main root क्या है? Human resource. What is the resource? And human keeps on doing what? Errors. So that's the reason absolute assurance is the right word, or should be substituted with a reasonable assurance? Reasonable. So there comes the internal control system's limitation, which I am going to explain you in the next 15-20 minutes. अब सुनना ध्यान से. Point number 1. The biggest disadvantage of internal control system is human error. Which error? Human error. Which can be eliminated or it can only be reduced. But it can never be what? Eliminated. It was there, it is there, it will be there. Disadvantage number 1. Disadvantage number 2. Internal control system is a costly affair. Which affair? Not every company can afford it. Tell me one thing. The same internal control system which the Reliance can afford, can it be afforded by any ABC company in Hyderabad? Can be afforded or cannot be? The better you want the internal control system, the maximum the amount you have to spend. So along with the level of the good, better and best internal control systems, your expenditures will go down or it will go up. अगर मान लो Reliance में, let's say for example 2000 chartered accountants Reliance has hired. Whether any other ABC company can hire 2000 chartered accountants? How much salary package average you will be giving? 10 lakhs. 2000 chartered accountant मतलब समझ रहे हो? Minimum 200 crores it is spending on paying the money to whom? Chartered accountants. Do you think that every company can afford? Cannot afford. This is the reason. Do you remember section number 138 हमने internal audit किया था? Tell me the 3 choices of internal auditor. You can hire a CA or a CM. But if you can't afford them, any other professional. If you can't afford them, क्यों 3 ऑप्शन दिए? Why it is not written कि CA or CMA can be the internal auditor? Because some companies can afford. So internal control system is a very costly affair. Not every company can afford. So tell me the 2 disadvantages which I told you already. Human error, costly and expensive in nature. Third thing, if it is not updated, it is obsolete. What is the point? Read again. If it is not updated, it is what? Obsolete. Acha, internal control system is all about technology. Technology keeps on changing. और अगर आप you will not change your technology according to the change in the environment, then you will be faded away in the market. So if you do not change your internal control system at the regular interval. अच्छा, पहले मेरे को ये बताओ सर इसका मतलब क्या है? पहले अपने जो नोकिया के फोन आते थे, देखो नोकिया के फोन में वो लॉक होता था, ऊपर का बटन नीचे का बटन, एंड ऊपर का बटन नीचे का बटन, इट इज लॉक्ड एंड अनलॉक्ड. उसके बाद क्या हुआ? उसके बाद पैटर्न आने शुरू हुए, फिर पासकोड आने शुरू हुए, फिर फिंगर टच पीछे, फिर फिंगर टच आगे, फिर अभी क्या आता है? रेटिना. डे इज नॉट फार व्हेन देयर विल बी अ ब्लड प्रेशर पिन आल्सो. डीएनए टेस्ट. तुम फोन को ऑन करोगे, यहां से पिन निकलेगा, टच, यहां से तुम्हारा बटन लगा, हाँ रोहित ग्रोवर कंफर्म. यू नेवर नो. Are you getting the point? You never know. technology keeps on what? Changing. Internal control system is based on what? Technology. It means every second or third year, you have to replace your old internal control system with what? New. Which every company can afford to do that. Or they can't. They can't. Did you get my point or not? So tell me the three disadvantages I told you. Human error, costly. Third one, if it is not updated, it is outdated. A good internal control system will always protect you in the normal situations. In the which situation? But it is a complete failure in the abnormal situations. मैं तुम्हें एक छोटा सा example बताता हूँ. जैसे say for example, if the theft or stealing is taking place in my office, I will install one camera over the cashier. I will be able to detect the frauds and errors by installing a what? Camera. But whether that camera can prevent an earthquake or floods, can it be prevented or can it be? क्या वो कैमरा मेरे को बता सकता है अर्थक्वेक आने वाला है? It is going to come, or flood is just 2 kilometers away, 500 meters away. So these internal control systems work good in which situations? Normal. But a complete failure in what? Abnormal situation. Did you get the point or no? Next point. What are the four I told you? Just now tell me. Costly affair, human error. If not updated, it is outdated. And most importantly, it works well in the which situation? Normal. But a complete failure in abnormal. The fifth disadvantage of the internal control system is collusion. What is the biggest disadvantage? Collusion. Collusion का मतलब क्या होता है? अच्छा तो मुझे ये बताओ. Let's say for example, there is one cinema hall. ध्यान से सुनना. Example. There is one cinema hall. The ticket seller and the ticket checker both should be same person or separate. So what do we call it as? कि multiple activities shall not be handled by the same person. चलो एक और example करते हैं. Let's make it quite easier. There is one factory. In that factory, there is only one employee. That employee is only allowing the empty lorry to come inside the godown. He is only loading the stock in the lorry. He is only weighing the lorry, and he is only allowing that lorry to go outside the factory. 4 activities are handled by what? A single employee. Chances of frauds and errors are what? Higher. So company thought, okay, let me appoint 4 different persons for these 4 activities. एक जना लॉरी को अलाउ करेगा, एक जना लोड करेगा. One person will do what? Weighing, and one person will allow to exit. But what if those 4 have done the collusion with each other? Did you eliminate the fraud and error? Or still chances are there? Collusion is the biggest enemy of internal control system. Are you getting the point? Maybe the ticket seller in the cinema hall might have allowed his relatives to go inside the cinema hall without tickets. But who will check that? Ticket checker. If the ticket checker will catch, it means those unwanted people will be allowed or will not be allowed. But what if that ticket checker has done the collusion with whom? Ticket seller, and he is also allowing them? Then in that case, you will be able to detect the fraud and error or unable to. So याद रखना, collusion is something which is inherent in the internal control system because human behavior can be easily bought and sold in the market. Are you getting the point? It's very easy to buy a human. You just have to throw some money on the face and he will be easily bought. इसलिए मैं बोलता हूँ चार्टेड अकाउंटेंसी कोर्स में हमने जो बेसिक प्रिंसिपल करे थे, इंटीग्रिटी, ऑब्जेक्टिविटी, इंडिपेंडेंस, स्किल, कॉन्फिडेंस, ये कुछ काम नहीं आता. When the threats at the same point of time, I taught you one topic called threats also. Self-review threats, self-interest threat, advocacy, intimidacy, familiarity threats. So did I attach the practical examples with those concepts or not? It happens in the internal control system also. Even though you can have the world's best ethical employees, but when it comes to money, they all will do the collusions. Collusions का मतलब क्या होता है? Leaking the information. Or you can say that joining the hands together to do a fraud. 50-50%. कर लेंगे ना? ऐसा होता है या नहीं होता? Right? Next point. So these are the 5 disadvantages of the internal control system. Tell me. Costly affair. It is full of human error. If it is not updated, it is obsolete. Works well in the normal situation, but a complete failure in abnormal situation. एंड लास्ट बट नॉट द लीस्ट, जस्ट आई टोल्ड यू कॉल्यूशन. एक और है सिक्स्थ डिसएडवांटेज, मैनेजमेंट मैनिपुलेशन. व्हाट इज द सिक्स्थ वन? अच्छा ये बताओ, इंटरनल ऑडिटर इज अ whose puppet? Even if the internal auditor wants to give the negative report, even if he wants to give the which report, but do you think that the management is capable enough to let him turn his negative report into what? Positive. तो याद रखना, इंटरनल कंट्रोल सिस्टम इज ऑलवेज सब्जेक्ट टू द मैनेजमेंट मैनिपुलेशन. Whenever the management, देखो, who is giving you the salary? So management can always manipulate you. As an employee, your loyalties will be towards the auditor or your loyalties will be towards your employer. Who is giving the salary? So employer can easily manipulate you or not. So at that point of time, will you be giving the genuine information to the auditor? No. So what's the point of good ICS then? So it is again getting compromised with the whose manipulation? Management manipulation. So these are the basic, inherent, and why they are known as inherent limitations, everyone? What is the reason they are known as inherent? It means these are those kind of limitations which you can escape from or you can't. You can't. It was there, it is there, it will be there. जैसे अपना inherent limitations of audit किया था हमने, post-mortem activity. Do you remember that word? So audit was like that profession. Today it is like this only, and tomorrow also it will be like this only. Did you get the point? So that is the reason they are known as which limitations? Inherent. तो अभी पढ़ते हैं, what are the inherent limitations? What is the point number 1, everyone? Cost of implementation of control may be more than its what? Benefits. Thus the management usually does not implement the best control. Easy है, I told you it's a very costly affair. Next point क्या है? Human error, which may occur while carrying out what? Internal control system. It may be due to the misunderstanding on the part of what? Personnel. Next point, employees may commit what? Fraud. Through what? Collusion. Are you able to see the word over there? It may be among themselves or with whom? Outside. The person responsible for exercising the control can himself what? Override. अब मैंने तुम्हें एक automated environment में एक concept बताया था, master file. What do you mean by master file? Which is the main file via which the software can be what? Tampered. Suppose that master file is with the MD. MD itself is a corrupted fellow. अब तुम मुझे बताओ, chances of corruption in the software will be higher or lower? So there's no point of having the best software because the person who is authorized to have that master file himself is what? Corrupted. Next one, example, person responsible for issuance of stationery to various departments only for authorized use can himself misappropriate the stationery for his what? मैंने बताया था ना, मेरे ऑफिस में भी ऐसे ही होता है. अरे ऑफिस में तुम बिलीव नहीं करोगे, मेरा एक फ्रेंड है, वो विप्रो में काम करता है. मेरा फ्रेंड बोलता, कहता भाई एवरी डे दे हैव टू फिल अप देयर कॉफी वेंडिंग मशीन होती है ना, कॉफी वेंडिंग मशीन के बाजू में 1000 पैकेट्स ऑफ ब्रू कॉफी रखते हो, ठीक है ना, एंड द पाउडर मिल्क एंड द मग्स, एवरी 1 week they have to refill it again, and that particular vending machine is only for the 10 employees. अच्छा चलो, तुम एक दिन में 10 बार कॉफी भी पीते हो, सपोज यू आर ड्रिंकिंग कॉफी फॉर द 10 टाइम बिकॉज इट इज फ्री. Am I correct? 10 employees into 10 times means 100 into 7 days 700. चलो 700 packs are gone. Where are 300? भाई तुम बिलीव नहीं करोगे, मतलब इतने sophisticated employees having the salary of lakh 2 lakh rupees per month, वो ब्रू के कॉफी चुरा लेते हैं यार. अरे कॉफी छोड़ो यार, mugs also there. The day is not far when they will bring this bag and पूरी vending machine डाल के ले जाएंगे. और unfortunate thing is that he told me that mainly they have caught female employees doing that. अरे मैं feminist नहीं हो रहा यहाँ पे. I'm not doing any gender discrimination. What is the fact I'm disclosing you? तो मतलब वो क्या बोलते हैं, फीमेल्स क्या होते हैं, बड़े बड़े बैग लेके आते ना, कॉफी पीते पीते 4 पैकेट डाल दिए. मतलब उनके घर में जाओगे ना तो लाइफ टाइम कॉफी फ्री है, क्योंकि दैट कॉफी इज समथिंग व्हिच दे हैव नॉट बॉट देयर ओन, दे गॉट इट फ्रॉम वेयर? ऑफिस. भाई मतलब इतना सीरियसली, इसे बोलते हैं फ्रिंज बेनिफिट्स. These are the unwanted allowances. तुम सोचो cost of employee will increase to the another level. And that's the reason he told me also one more thing. The management has taken a call from we will keep an eye over the people. Means only 3 coffees in a day are allowed. अरे obviously करना ही पड़ेगा भाई. पता चले तुम्हारा depreciation से ज्यादा तुम्हारा कॉफी का खर्चा है. So more than depreciation, if your coffee vending machine is giving the expenditure, then obviously it's a sign of good ICS or poor ICS. So it generally happens. Misuse of the properties. उसे बोलते हैं MOA frauds. मैंने बताया था ना, misappropriation of assets. Next point क्या है? Manipulation by the which authority? अच्छा, high level authority may not be detected. Manipulation done by the high level authority may not be detected by which system? क्योंकि control system को control कौन कर रहा है? High level. So do you think that control system which they are controlling will allow to control them? Did you understand? समझ में आ रहा? They are controlling the which system? Do you think that the controlling authority which is controlling the control system will allow that internal control system to control them? Yes or no? No. So that is also the biggest problem. Where which system? Internal control. What is the 6th problem, everyone? Just now I told you, for the normal situations, it works very well, but it is a complete failure in case of what? So any unusual transaction may not be controlled because control procedures are generally made for usual transaction. अब ये कैमरा फ्लड को कैसे रोकेगा? अर्थक्वेक को कैसे रोकेगा? Are you getting the point or not? So sometimes internal control system completely becomes a failure in these situations. And what is the last one, everyone? Established control procedure may become what? Inadequate in a fast changing environment. Can anybody tell me what is the example I told you in this one? If you are not updated, you are obsolete. Because internal control system keeps on what? Changing. And it is completely based upon what? Technology. And if you will not change according to the technology, you will be faded in the market. ये तो हमने SM में भी पढ़ा है. PESEL metrics. PESEL याद है ना? Macro environment is your PESEL. PESEL का full form वही अपना political. उसमें T stands for what? Technological environment. You do not change according to your environment, you will be faded away. Environmental scanning. ठीक है ना? So this is what does it bring an end to the which topic, everyone? Inherent limitations of which system? Internal control system. Next one. Tools to review internal control system. इसका ध्यान से सुनना. इसका another name लिख लो, evaluation of internal control system. What is another name? Evaluation. अम्मा यहां से मत करो, ये बहुत लंबा है. This is just given to you as a formality. Do you have this material also, every one of you? They didn't give you this? PDF तो दिया होगा. हाँ, तो obviously they will not allow to give you the 2 materials, because they allowed me to distribute this time this. Otherwise, up to the last batch we were distributing that only. So in that material there are 2 to 3 chapters only which are good. That's why I am referring that. Otherwise, the remaining material is not worthy to be referred as well. Are you getting the point or not? So make sure that हमने कौन-कौन से chapter we have done? Bank, automated and risk assessment and internal control. Nothing more than that. The remaining we are going to do it from our place only. ठीक है? So just you have to make sure that you are opening the PDF at your places while revising these 3 topics. What are the 3 topics? Bank audit, automated. Otherwise, if you want to do it from the material which I distribute also, you are free to do it. No problem. But I am just trying to save your what? Time in that case. Now see. Up suno. What is the name of the topic, everyone? Tools to review the which system? Internal. So you will find the 4 words here. What are the first one? Narrative records, checklist. Third one is what? Internal control questionnaire. And the 4th one is known as what? Flowchart. इसको ध्यान से सुनना. I will tell you the meaning of all these one by one. What do you understand by narrative record? Listen. Narrative record is a technique which is adopted by the auditor to evaluate their internal control system. Again repeating the word evaluation and testing. Both are not same. They are what? Different. पहले अपन evaluation करते हैं, then we do the testing and then we'll make the LOW. Do you remember LOW? Letter of weaknesses. क्योंकि weaknesses I will come to know only after what? Testing. Did you get the point? So first let me tell you the evaluation. Evaluation is generally carried by the first method. What is the first method, everyone? नरेटिव रिकॉर्ड। नरेटिव रिकॉर्ड का मतलब क्या होता है? लिसन, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, this method is useful in the small organizations. Which organization? Small organization, where no formal internal control system is there. What do you mean by no formal internal control system? They have, but that is formal or informal? Informal. And what do you mean by informal? It means there is often shuffling of jobs. Often what? What do you mean by shuffling of jobs? सर मेरे को ये बताओ, छोटी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, there is one small company having 7 to 8 employees. How many employees? Do you think that they will be having a proper internal control system? No. They'll be having the informal internal control system. Let me give you my example also. I have one of my client in JD Metla. JD Metla में मेरा एक client है, Basai Steels Private Limited. Now they are having total 11 to 12 employees are there. How many employees? 11 to 12. One day when I go there, the same employee, Mr. A, is taking care of the sales. Week later or 15 days back, 15 days later, when I'm going again, he's taking care of purchase. And after 1 month, when I went there, he's taking care of accounts, and one time he's taking care of godown. अब तो मुझे बताओ, is there a certainty of the job or there's an uncertainty? What is happening? Third point, read. There's a often shuffling of what? Jobs. So is it a sign of formal internal control system or informal? अब मैं इसे evaluate कैसे करूं? How should I evaluate? There comes the technique called narrative record. What is the name of the technique? If I want to know that कि whether that person is good in his job and duty and function or not, I will narrate him a story. I will narrate him a situation. Okay, let's say for example, suppose you are a sales manager. So one day you are doing purchase, one day you are doing sales, one day you are taking care of cash, and one day she is taking care of accounts. मैंने इसको simple पूछा. मैंने कहा today what role you are playing? She is saying sales manager. मैंने कहा अच्छा. मैंने कहा एक काम करो. Tell me how do you decide whom you want to make the cash sale and whom you want to make the credit sale? You all answer me. You are a sales manager right now. I am asking you a question. How you will decide to whom you want to make a cash sale, to whom you want to make a credit sale? It depends upon the regularity of what? Customer and the early payments. The one who is regular customer and making the timely payments, you would like to do what? Credit. So can I say that credit worthiness of the customer you will check? You know पता क्या बोली? If he is handsome, I will do credit sale. If he is ugly, cash sale. अब तो मुझे ये बताओ, is this a sign? Is this the criteria of deciding whom to make cash sale and credit sale? Just मजाक कर रहा हूँ मैं, तो lightly, है ना? तो अब तो मुझे बताओ, this is called narrative, and what she told me, I made a record of that. That is why the name of the topic is known as narrative record. क्योंकि the reason being very simple, here large number of employees are there or less number of employees? Read the 3 reasons. What are the 3 areas? Small organization means what? More number of employees or less? Due to that, there's a formal ICS or informal, and there's a often shuffling of what? Job. So which is the best suitable method in that case? Narrative records, where the auditor individually can evaluate their internal control system because number of employees are very less. But tell me one thing, can I use this technique in Reliance? Reliance में 3.75 employees है बस. कितनों को पूछूं? Even a single day, I will make sure कि 100 employees I am interviewing, which is not at all possible. You can't interview in less than 300 days. 3000 days लगेंगे to interview those 3 lakh employees. तो larger size organization में this method is best or worst? तो इसलिए we have the second method. Read the name of the second method. Internal control checklist. अब सुनो, internal control checklist क्या होता है? Listen to this very carefully. What do you mean by internal control checklist? Internal control checklist means there is one person called auditor. He will make a checklist, and in the checklist he will draft various questions which he wants to evaluate. But he will not go to the client's place. He will hand over this list to his staff. Staff will go at the whose place? Client's place, and they will do the evaluation of what? Internal control system. Now you are a staff. Do you remember audit program? What do you mean by audit program? Checklist of points which my staff has to verify. अब सुनना ध्यान से, what is internal control checklist? It is a checklist of questions which are drafted by whom? Auditor. But handed over to whom? Staff. To go to whose place? Client's place. After going to the client's place, what the staff will do? He will evaluate their internal control system, but on their own or according to my checklist. So these are the various questions which I have drafted. Are you getting the point? Now when the staff will go to the client's place, they will ask the same questions to the client. Question number 1. Sir, how do you maintain your GST records? Question number 2. What do you do when the reorder level of quantity of stock comes? What happens when the client passes an order to you? How do you maintain your stock register? So I made a set of what? Questions, but am I evaluating or my staff is evaluating? On whose behalf? My behalf. But my question is very simple, whether my staff is fully competent or semi-competent, fully qualified or semi-qualified. They can be easily manipulated. By whom? Management. That's why this method is not generally used by whom? Auditor. Did you get the point? This is a method, but it is a least popular method. Which method? Least popular. अब तुम मुझे बताओ, if the question will come in the examination, how the auditor will be able to evaluate a smaller organization? कौन सा मेथड लिख के आओगे? नरेटिव रिकॉर्ड. उसको एक्सप्लेन कैसे करोगे? नरेटिव रिकॉर्ड इज अ मेथड. चलो रीड करते हैं. लेट्स सी व्हाट इज नरेटिव. कहां पे है? हाँ, नरेटिव रिकॉर्ड पढ़ो. द कंप्लीट and exhaustive detail of what? Examination as found in the operation by whom? How it is possible? Because it is a complete and detailed. How it is possible? Because it was a large organization or small. For example, for stock control evaluation, it contains document prepared employees discharging various duties, various stages of stock movement. Advantages when properly framed from formal internal control system found, but the complete description is what? Needed. Suitable for which business? Small business. Limitation, detailed observation is needed because it is what? Time consuming. Next point, it does not readily identify the weaknesses in what? System. Why you cannot identify the weaknesses in the system? Because there is a often shuffling of what? Jobs. One day you are analyzing her as a sales manager, next day she is working as a what? Purchase manager. So will you be able to certain on her job or you are uncertain? So you are uncertain about the weaknesses as well. And what is the last disadvantage? Constant updating is needed if the circumstances are what? Changed. So it means narrative record is best suitable for the larger organization or smaller? Small. What is the second method? Checklist. What I told you. First you tell me what I told you. Checklist questions are prepared by whom? Auditor. Handed over to whom? Staff. Going to whose place? Client's place. Evaluating their internal controls. But what is the problem I told you? What is the biggest problem in that? They are semi-qualified and semi-competent, and they can be easily manipulated by whom? Management. So see, it contains a series of what? Questions to be answered by whom? Auditor. But drafted by whom? Auditor. Are the tenders invited before placing an order or not? Now this question I drafted. I told my staff, you please ask this to whom? Management. Tenders क्या होते हैं? You know tenders? What do you mean by tenders? When any company wants to buy a raw material in lump sum manner, do you think that they will buy it from one person or they will invite tenders? Which tender they will accept? You tell me. If you are a company which is providing you the best quality at least price. Am I correct here now? So that is what the same question I am asking. Are the tenders invited before placing an order? Now a member of the audit staff checks the same and answers it in the form of what? Yes, no, not applicable. मैंने ये क्वेश्चन जाके पूछा परचेज मैनेजर को. तो I saw the purchase manager and imagine that I am an audit staff. I am looking at what? Checklist. I am looking at right now what? Checklist. I asked, okay, madam, do you invite tenders before placing an order? She said, what do you mean by tenders? Okay, I got my answer. Yes or no? तो मैं कहां पे टिक मार्क करूंगा? Yes, no or not applicable? Not applicable. She has said that I don't know what do you mean by tender, na? But if she says that yes, we invite tender, we give the newspaper advertisement, then the tender agreements come, then there is a evaluator, tender evaluator. He will choose the best tender with the least price and the best quality. Now tell me, is it a sign of good ICS or poor ICS? Then I'll put a tick mark on what? Yes. This is called internal control what? Checklist. Advantages, what is advantage? Completed checklist is studied by whom? Senior audit staff. Thus weaknesses can't be what? Overlooked. Easy location of what? Weaknesses. But what is the limitation? Requires what? To prepare a what? That much intelligence a semi-qualified staff will have or a qualified staff. Isliye these series of questions are always prepared by whom? Auditor. But answered by whom? Audit staff. Next point, it is what? Time consuming. And last but not the least, clients can manipulate. When they're responding to the what? Questions raised by what? उन्होंने मेरे स्टाफ को क्या बोला? बेटा जाओ. ऐसे ही होता है. We do not invite the tenders. Poke, turn around, poke. Am I correct or no? अब my staff is qualified or unqualified? Can that management behave in the same manner with me? मैंने अच्छा तू आजा बेटा. वो I will give you the which report. क्योंकि we have the tool. We have the audacity to say something in front of the management. But they can easily manipulate my what? Staff. So this is a small limitation or biggest limitation. So the answer to that limitation went in the third question. What is the third one? Internal control question. Just because the second method failed, we went to the third method. What is the third method? अभी questionnaire और checklist में difference पता क्या है? Listen. In the checklist, who was preparing the questions? Here also, who is preparing? Audit. He was handing over it to whom? But here, I am going to handing over it to the management staff. Which staff? So I went to the sales manager. मैंने बोला मैडम ये रहा आपका checklist. These are the 30 questions you have to answer. I'll come back in half an hour. I need all the answers to be there. Now tell me one thing. Here my staff is evaluating or the person who is involved in the activity is answering the question. Who was answering the questions there? Staff. In the form of yes, no, not ever. Here who is answering? Management staff. The one who is involved in the activity. Now tell me which one is better. Think logically and give me the answer. हम लोग टेस्टिंग नहीं कर रहे. We are doing what? Evaluation. Which one is better? Checklist or questionnaire? I know some of you are in dilemma to give me the answer. Which one is better? When my staff was evaluating ICS or when the management itself is giving me the reply? अब यहाँ पे आके double minded हो जाता है इंसान. So there the staff was evaluating, still some independence was there. Here the management itself is saying what? Understand, after evaluation I am still due with what? Testing. अभी मेरे को let them give the manipulated answers. But am I going to test it again or not? Am I a fool that with their manipulated answers I will be able to understand what they are saying is correct only? So which one is still better? Questioning is still better than what? I will tell you why. Because here the answers are given by the people who are actually involved in the activity. My staff was not able to understand the complicated manufacturing process. But this production manager will be able to give me the each and every answer on its own. Did you get the point or not? So again repeating, don't get confused between the checklist and questionnaire. I know some of you are having a doubt right now. Ki, sir, I know your doubt. Your doubt is, ki, sir, in the checklist, still it was evaluated by my staff. But in the questionnaire, who is giving the answer? Management. So management to always will say that they are correct only. Everywhere they will put the yes, yes, yes. That is what your doubt is. But let me ask you a very simple thing. Who is the better person to evaluate the operations? Is my staff who is not working in that? Or is it the management staff who is involved in that? Think from that point of view. Who will be able to give you the better answer? Management staff instead of your own staff. इसीलिए questionnaires are nowadays more preferable than what? Checklist. Did you get the point? But I can completely agree with you. कि you have a doubt that कि checklist is still more independent than what? Question. But we are still waiting for TOC ना. What is TOC? Testing. अपने को अभी testing करना है. Let them give the. Do you think that they will make a fool out of me? Do I have this much of intelligence to understand where they are saying right or where they are saying wrong? Right or not? At least if they will give me the wrong answer, na, that will make my work more better. because I'll be able to understand which are the areas which I have to concentrate. Did you get the point or not? हाँ के ना? Confusion remove हुआ? So tell me, which one is better from the answering point of view? Who is more eligible to answer my questions? Because they are the one who are involved in the activity. Did you get the point? My staff also might not be aware of the fact of tender invitation system, but the one who is inviting the tenders must be the best person to give me the answer for the tender invitation or not. Yes. Now read this. What is questionnaire, everyone? Comprehensive series of what? Question on each aspect of internal control, prepared again by whom? Audit. Filled up by whom? Clients, employees. वहां पे कौन fill up कर रहा था? Audit staff. Here who is filling up? Clients, employees. Example. Do you keep? अब देखो मेरा टोन क्या है. यहां पे मेरा टोन क्या था? Are the tenders invited before placing an order? Who was asking this question to whom? Staff was asking to the management staff. But here I'm directly raising the finger on them. Do you keep invoices pre-numbered? What do you mean by pre-numbered? अच्छा सिंपल सी बात है. When you go to the office and pay the fees, तुमने देखा होगा तुम्हें वो स्लिप देते हैं. स्लिप के ऊपर इनवॉइस नंबर लिखा होता है. इट शुड बी सीरियली नंबर्ड और इट शुड बी जम्बल्ड. वही तो बात पूछ रहा हूं मैं. वो क्या पूछा मैंने? डू यू कीप द इनवॉइस वर्ड प्री नंबर? नाउ द क्लाइंट आंसर्स यस, नो और वर्ड नॉट एप्लीकेबल. यूजुअली क्वेश्चंस आर फ्रेम्ड इन सच अ वे दैट नो शोज व्हाट. अगर वो नो पे टिक करेगा तो मतलब दैट इज डेफिनेटली अ वीकनेस. अगर वो yes पे टिक करेगा, I will test it. Are you understanding the point? Nothing is escaping from me. If he will say no, then तो definitely I'll check it. But even if he will say yes, then तो I will definitely do the test checking. अगर उसने no बोल दिया, तो इसका मतलब क्या है? He is saying that कि they do not maintain their invoices pre-numbered. It means that itself is a what? Weakness. But if he is saying yes, then I will get a doubt in my mind. He's saying yes, let me test it. Did you get the point? That is the reason questionnaires are more preferable than what? Checklist. Are you understanding my point? Next point, advantages. Detailed questionnaire, thus no important aspect is what? Overlooked. अब detailed questionnaire का मतलब क्या है? Listen to this point. My staff was what? Qualified or semi-qualified? I can make only 20, 30 those questions which they can understand while asking. But who is answering me now? Can I make 50, 100 questions which they are doing it? So which one is more elaborate, more narrative in nature? Where I can include the more number of questions? When it is questionnaire or when it is checklist? When it is questionnaire. So that is what. Read the point number 1 again. Detailed questionnaire. Thus no important aspect is what? Over. Look at the disadvantage above. यहां पे देखो ऊपर क्या थी disadvantage? Client can requires intelligence to prepare what? Proper checklist. क्यों? इसका मतलब कि I have to draft only those questions in the checklist which who can understand? My staff. But here I can draft more number of questions because who is answering me? Management. Are you understanding my point of view? Next point, weaknesses are what? Easily located. Evaluation of internal control system becomes systematic and what? Easy. And recommendations can be readily provided by whom? Audit. But इसके limitations क्या है? Time consumed. And next one, client may answer it in a which way? अब तो मुझे बताओ, she is a purchase manager. मैंने उसे 200 questions दिए. How many? Whether she should do her job or she should answer my questions. She will do her what? Job. So while doing her job, she might be thinking, क्या useless fellow 200. Hey, tick मारो, चल, 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 चल. This is called which decisions? Yes. That is what the point number 2. Read the point number 2. Client may answer it in a which way? And client may manipulate. ये तो अपने को पहले ही पता था. Client may manipulate the word answers. If they will try to manipulate the answer, their daddy is always ready. अरे ये तो rhyme हो गया. Their daddy is always what? Ready. Who is the daddy? Audit. Ultimately, evaluation is done, but still what is pending? Testing. So I will to definitely do the testing now if I'll get any wrong answers and all. Did you get the point? So tell me what are the 3 methods I told you? Narrative record, checklist, question. Can you tell me the brief distinction between all three? Where the one is better suitable? And which one is highly suitable, which one is least suitable? First one point, tell me, narrative recorder useful in the which organization? Where no formal internal control system, where often shuffling of the jobs, where auditor can elaborate an exhaustive inspection of internal control system is possible. But its disadvantage kya hai? It is not useful in the which organization? Larger. What is the second method? Checklist is a method where the questions will be drafted by whom? Auditor. Forwarded to whom? To be evaluated by the audit staff in the form of yes, no, not. इसके एडवांटेज बताओ सर. आ रहा है बस यही एडवांटेज, क्योंकि किसी ने कॉन्सेंट्रेट किया ही नहीं एडवांटेज के ऊपर. डिसएडवांटेज पूछूंगा तो बता दोगे. व्हाट इज द डिसएडवांटेज? चलो बताओ. सेमी क्वालिफाइड, सेमी कॉम्पिटेंट, इजिली कैन बी मैनिपुलेट, रिक्वायर्स मोर इंटेलिजेंस टू अंडरस्टैंड द क्वेश्चन. बट व्हाट इज द एडवांटेज? पढ़ो इसकी. सॉरी, ये रे completed checklist is studied by the word senior audit staff, thus weaknesses cannot be overlooked, and easy location of what? Weaknesses. तो तुम लोग इसकी जगह ये भी लिख सकते हो कि more independent examination. But what is the third one I told you? Questionnaire. Questions are drafted by whom? Answered by whom? In the form of yes, no, not. इसके एडवांटेज और इसके डिसएडवांटेज बताओ. एडवांटेज नंबर 1, it is answered by the persons who are actually involved in it. Advantage number 2, I can plan and perform accordingly. Advantage number 3, easy detection of what? Weaknesses. Advantage number 4, it will help me in deciding the extent of my checking. What is the disadvantage? Time consuming. Next, easy manipulation. And last but not the least, they may answer it in which way? Hastily. But मैं तुम्हें बता दूं, the best among all 4 is the last one. What is the last one? Flow chart. Flow chart क्या होता है? ये होता है flow chart. Do you remember ये flow chart हमने कल भी किया था? Do you remember I told you this? एक काम करते हैं, मैं तुम्हें दोबारा से एक ना, let me ask you this question, then only you will be able to understand. भाई मुकेश अंबानी ने मेरे को हायर किया. He is saying that कि you have to do, रोहित, you have to do my internal control system का audit. मैंने कहा ठीक है. मैंने कहा सर which operation? He is saying P2P. याद है P2P? What is P2P? Procurement to purchase, procurement to payment. मैंने कहा सर I started with your which department? Stock department. Which department? I asked them when the what comes? Reorder level of stock comes. What do you do? If you remember yesterday, MRN. What is MRN? MRN will be generated by the which manager? Purchase. Purchase manager will inform it to whom? Accounts. Accounts manager will inform it to tender department. Which department? Tender department will invite what? Tenders. After inviting the tenders, we will place the, we will choose the best tenderer and we will place what? Order. After placing the order, what will happen? Delivery. After the delivery, the goods will be sent to the stock department. स्टॉक डिपार्टमेंट में क्या होगा? आफ्टर दैट इट विल बी सेंट टू द प्रोडक्शन डिपार्टमेंट. प्रोडक्शन डिपार्टमेंट में फिनिश गुड्स. फिनिश गुड्स के बाद क्वालिटी इंस्पेक्शन. विच इंस्पेक्शन? आफ्टर दैट विल इन्फॉर्म इट टू अगेन अकाउंट्स डिपार्टमेंट. अकाउंट्स डिपार्टमेंट विल इन्फॉर्म इट टू होम? फाइनेंस डिपार्टमेंट. फाइनेंस डिपार्टमेंट विल गिव द चेक. चेक विल बी गिवन टू होम? सप्लायर. सप्लायर विल पुट इट इन बैंक और बैंक उसको क्या देगा भैया? पेमेंट. अब ये हो गया अपना P2P ऑपरेशन. इसे बोलते हैं बर्ड आई व्यू. दिस इज कॉल्ड विच व्यू? अच्छा टेल मी, थिंक दैट कि यू आर अ मुकेश अंबानी राइट नाउ. डू यू हैव इनफ टाइम टू रीड माई 1000 क्वेश्चंस to understand what is strong and what is weak in your organization? This much of time is there or not there? As a legit top level management person, you would always like to know the things in a quick, right, in a summarized manner, because you have a lot of time or less time. At that point of time, the best method available is what? Flowchart. Now, look at this whole thing. Can you please tell me where is the problem? You are not expecting this, I know. बट मैं तुम्हें बता रहा हूं कि आई एम अ मुकेश, लेट्स से फॉर एग्जांपल यू आर अ मुकेश अंबानी नाउ, विद इन 2 minutes I told you about your P2P operation. That much time only you gave me. But can I explain him कि where is the problem? Can you please tell me where is the problem in their internal control system? Everything is smoothly happening, but there is one particular department which is not at the right place. Quality inspection. Do you think that the quality inspection should be after finished goods or at the time of delivery only? So can I say that the best place for quality inspection is this place instead of this place? This is called bird eye view. That is called which view? With this, I will be able to tell my client the problems in their internal control system within seconds, instead of making him read the lot of questions which I drafted. So sometimes people are neither interested in your narrative records, nor interested in your checklist, nor they are interested in your, they are interested in bird eye view. Bird eye view को अपन क्या बोलते हैं? Flow charts. Did you get the point? अभी इसको पढ़ो, क्या लिखा हुआ है flow chart? Graphic presentation of each part of the entity's which system? Was it a graphic presentation? Yes. Next point. Stock control procedure can be depicted in the form of diagram. The auditor prepares it after proper study of what? Internal control system of the client. Advantages? Which presentation? Concise. मतलब quick and very precise in nature. Next one. Easily. Why you were able to understand it easily? Because I use the arrows. Arrows का मतलब क्या होता है? After this is happening. After this and this is happening. That is easily understandable. Next one. Gives a bird's eye view of which system? But इसके limitation क्या है? Time consuming to prepare such what? Flow chart, which is concise yet showing what? Every important aspect of what? Internal control. Weaknesses cannot be readily what? Located. But I will say that कि this is not the disadvantage. हम लोग time को save करने के लिए तो flow chart बना रहे हैं. So you should not write the time consuming. You should better write that do not use the technical signs and symbols. अच्छा बताओ, अगर मैं ये सिंबल यूज करता और फिर ये यूज करता और देन दिस आई विल यूज एंड आई विल यूज दिस. हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू हैव एन आइडिया अबाउट दीज सिंबल्स? किसी को आइडिया है? एनीबडी इन द क्लास इज हैविंग एन आइडिया? व्हाट डज दीज सिंबल्स रिप्रेजेंट? सर्कल रिप्रेजेंट्स व्हाट? स्टार्ट एंड एंड. एंड व्हाट डज दिस स्क्वायर रिप्रेजेंट्स? मैं तुम्हें बताता हूं, जो सर्कल है ना उसे हम स्टार्ट एंड एंड बोलते हैं. व्हाट डू वी कॉल इट एज? द स्क्वायर इज नोन एज प्रोसेसिंग बॉक्स. व्हिच वन? द ट्रेपेजियम इज नोन एज इनपुट बॉक्स. व्हाट इज दैट? एंड द डायगोनल इज नोन एज व्हाट? डिसीजन बॉक्स. इसे क्या बोलते हैं? दिस वी यूज टू डू व्हेन द फ्लो चार्ट चैप्टर यूज टू बी देयर इन योर पोर्शन. बट आई थिंक यू नो लॉन्गर हैव फ्लो चार्ट इन योर पोर्शन. You have introduction. Do you have the flow charts also? So my question is very simple. You might be aware of these symbols. I might be aware of these symbols. Whether Mukesh Ambani studied our EAS, he is aware or not aware. So you should make the use of these kind of symbols, technical in nature or simplified one. Now when I use this arrow symbol, was it easy for you to understand? That is a limitation of this particular topic called what? Flow chart. So what are the 3 topics we are done with, everyone? 4 topics. We did narrative record, checklist, internal control questionnaire, flow chart. These 4 methods are known as tools to evaluate your internal control system. TOC you already know. What do you mean by TOC? हमसे उससे क्या पता चलता है? अच्छा, now can I say that this is what they have given me the information? So what they have given me the information, should I rely it as it is or I should test it? इसीलिए अपना first FAP is what? TOC. और TOC के बाजू में क्या होता है? SP. What is SP? Substantive. Did you get the point or not? These all are interconnected chapter. It is just that this is the right place to understand internal control systems. Everything about internal control system you understood. What are the things we understood today, everyone? We understood the meaning, scope, limitations, tools. 4 हो गया tools. What is the next topic, everyone? Internal control questionnaire and internal control evaluation. ये मैंने तुम्हें पहले ही बता दिया था, but same point they have discussed it again. उसके बाद अपना आएगा इंटरनल चेक, छोटा सा टॉपिक है, व्हाट इज द नेम ऑफ द टॉपिक। और इसमें इंटरनल ऑडिट भी दिया हुआ है चैप्टर में, बट इंटरनल ऑडिट आई विल नॉट टीच यू, वाई, बिकॉज वी हैव ऑलरेडी डन internal audit under section number 130, but I will definitely teach you SA 610. What is SA 610? Using the work of which auditor? Internal. So that standard will do, internal check will do, and यहां से अपना 315 start हो जाएगा. What is the name? Audit risk and its what? Component. So it will take another 2 days to make you understand. आज इतने रखेंगे. Thank you so much. See you guys tomorrow. This chapter should be completed tomorrow. आज क्या है? तो फ्राइडे तक हो जाएगा. Should be फ्राइडे, else सैटरडे. और फिर अपना मंडे को रहेगा अपना 240. फिर ट्यूसडे एंड वेडनेसडे विल बी टेकिंग केयर ऑफ ऑडिट ऑफ आइटम्स ऑफ फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट, एंड आफ्टर दैट डिफरेंट आइटम्स. Maybe after next Friday onwards, I will not take the class क्योंकि अपना portion mostly complete हो जाएगा. There will be only one pending topic called government audit. Then I will directly take it on Sunday. After the Friday, obviously Saturday I will not take the class. Next Saturday, ठीक है ना? Then directly I will take 1 3 to 4 hour session on Sunday, and we'll be able to wind up all our patchwork standards as well as one small topic called what? Government audit. Clear? This is how we'll plan. Friday तक तुम्हारा regularly means in the next 1 week 10 days your portion is going to get over, right? चलो, see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.